welcome back. It's time for another review of the ABCFC podcast. Obviously, those of you who turned up for our live stream yesterday or for some reason watched it back, of course will know that today, this week, we had to push the review back one extra day because of the fact that we live streamed yesterday and we're live streaming again tomorrow, of course. But enough cricket talk. We're here to talk football today, aren't we, Ben?
We certainly are. Obviously we'll get onto the cricket talk when we've got those particular episodes. There's another one coming up tomorrow, but really good weekend in the Bundesliga, and not just because my team did better than I expected, and we'll get onto that shortly, but some really good results in both leagues, and one particular team in the A-League who's flying at the moment and seems to be sort of staking a flag in the ground as far as finals and possibly beyond contention goes.
Exactly, and we'll dive straight into that Friday night game like we always do with the Bundesliga. Union Berlin versus Frankfurt was the fixture this time, and under new management maybe things will start to change for Frankfurt. Well, I can tell you for one, they didn't concede 3 times in a game of football, so there is one thing, and they probably looked like they were heading home for 3 points as well until their goalkeeper made an absolute blunder with a penalty save, attempted penalty save I should say. But 1-1 it finished. I think, again it's another game at home where Union haven't won, so that home form really deserting them, and look, it's for Frankfurt just steadying the ship of the game right now, and not conceding 3 times in a game of football is a great way to go about it, isn't it?
Most definitely, and look, we've sort of talked about Union's sort of up and down form, and especially at home, but Eintracht with new management coming in, sort of looking to make an instant impact, I guess, and 1-1 in the end. So I guess who would have been happier with that result? Maybe Eintracht.
I feel with Union maybe. Frankfurt, they should have won that game. That penalty should have been saved. Let's not deny that. The penalty was poor from Querfeld, went right down low at Cala Santos, and somehow he's let it squirm through and across the line into the back of the net. And also the goal as well. Nathaniel Brown, what a hit. What an absolute hit of a volley that was to put them in front. But, look, from Frankfurt's point of view, I think, whilst they'll probably be annoyed that they didn't end up winning that game, they'll also probably go back. The fans should be looking back and they go, wow, at least we only conceded once. And it was just a goalkeeper mistake. Union didn't have too much chances other than that. In all honesty, Frankfurt kept them largely at bay. Yes, they're a team that this season have been prolific from open play. But
I was just going to say, I've just had a look at that penalty, and you're absolutely right. Look, just unforgivable, really, especially so late in the game. Really keeper, unlucky. You can't really sort of say that. It's just obviously you're supposed to get your body sort of right in front of it, and the fact that it basically rolls right under him. So, points shared in that particular one to start the weekend.
It wasn't the most thrilling encounter, to be honest, to start the weekend. But the next game definitely was for your sake, wasn't it, Ben? And I am incredibly surprised by this result. And I know Stuttgart have had a few results similar to this so far this season. For as good as they've been, they've also had some games where you look at it and go since when do they, where's that shit performance come from?
Yeah.
But this was certainly one of them. I'm not taking credit away from you guys because you deserve this win. But from what I'm referencing, St Pauli 2 with RB Stuttgart 1, what a result that is. Desperate for it. Yes, we're still currently second bottom. Despite that, but the gap is now 2 points.
Yeah, there's genuine hope now, for sure.
Performance against Adelaide was good. You should have put them away. You didn't really lost, but performance against Stuttgart was another strong performance. So maybe there's possibly something starting to change here. Obviously we've got a tough game next, this couple of weeks against Leverkusen, and we'll know then. But look, from your point of view, where do you stand on this win, this performance?
Look, I think I might have said to you last week I'd be happy to take even a draw out of this. I certainly wasn't expecting to take all the points, but I think what I've seen, and I did get up a couple of weeks ago and watch that rescheduled Leipzig game where I think we were fantastic and deservedly got a point out of that one. But I think the signs were there from that game in terms of what we were trying to do, which came to fruition in this game. And I think we were just on from the first minute and really sort of switched on trying to make more genuine attacking runs. We've talked on this podcast about criticising this club for sort of getting some half chances but not really taking them, and against Dortmund and even in that Augsburg game as well the other week, this is where it all came together, and luckily we're on the right end of the result. Yes, we got a bit of luck with Furik's handball in the box, but that's a handball every day of the week. I was watching this game live in its entirety, and even I could see from a drone view from a TV that it was a handball inside the box. And Sinani luckily putting it the right way for 2-0. But
you've had a few penalties recently, haven't you?
I think the commentator was saying we've had 3 in the last 3 games and we've scored all of them. But the goal I want to talk about is Manolis Saliakis. What a brilliant bit of play. The decoy from Sinani.
When the ball came onto it, and I was watching the highlights, and the ball came onto it, and then you think, he's going to hit it with his left foot because it's set up for that. And I know he's got so much time and space because defending is pretty average from Stuttgart on that goal.
Yeah.
And then I see him suddenly stop his run up as if he's he's running up as if he's about to hit with his left. Stops, waits for the ball to run across and hits with his right. And before he hit the ball, I was thinking mate, what are you doing? That ball was literally set up for a left-footed shot first time. And then fortunately for him, the swerve he gets on it with the outside of the foot.
I was just going to say, outside the boot,
still gets away with it.
Yeah, just quality, but it means a lot to me for a couple of reasons. Number one, Jackson Irvine, I think it's his first start for the new year. He was only meant to play an hour and ended up playing the entire game. But we were missing several key players. So Smith was out, Fajita was out, Pereira Large was out. Hopefully they're back soon. Jones injured himself, pretty serious ankle in the cup, and you know my thoughts on him already. He's quick, but it doesn't mean a thing if you can't finish. And Hatonji, I don't think is back for another month or so. So Cars, or Lightning McQueen as they call him now, he's the man now, and the mids have really got to step up, and I think they did in this game. This is what they've got to do for the rest of the season now. This is the benchmark. This is the gold standard. I knew that Stuttgart were going to score at some point, and Leveling did, which was a fantastic finish. No disrespect to them, but I was really impressed with how we repelled them even up to that point, because we gave everything up to that point to repel them. They had some really good chances, but I thought Vasil was really good. He made a really good save early from Furyk, I think 11 minutes in, and that's where I thought, oh shit, they're going to score here, and it's going to be a typical game for us. But credit to them, and Blessing at the end, I think I saw him on the sidelines with Perker. He gave him a massive hug and was really sort of pumping them up. But in the highlights, it looks like he's just got a PS5 for Christmas. That's how happy he was. He was jumping around and pumping, as was I on the couch by the end of that game, and that was nearly 3:30 in the morning here. So, look, a really well-reserved result. Luckily, other teams had results that are beneficial for us, that were good for us. Bremen and Wolfsburg and so forth. So I mean, I'm not expecting much from the weekend's game against Leverkusen, but there's a block of...
This is the thing, right? You don't expect, yes, you said this is the benchmark. Obviously, being realistic about who you are as a team, no disrespect to the team. You're not exactly going to expect, now we should just go win every game from here on out.
No, not at all. But we have to keep getting points,
You're still going to lose games, there's no doubt about that. But the thing is, picking up, I think by the benchmark, the ability to pick up points when you really need it, sort of thing.
Well, it comes back to that term that I think I mentioned maybe a couple of months ago, turning those results that we might lose into draws and turning those draws into wins. That's what I meant by that. We know, especially with these Rasmussen and Hara and these new guys that have come in, and Tomoya Ando, shout out to him, he's been fantastic in defence. It just goes to show that yes, we haven't brought in a striker, but the players that we have brought in are making an instant impact. So hats off to them, and look, hopefully now it's a sign of things going up and up, because I think we've got the chance now to survive and thrive now, as long as things keep going like this, aside from the weekend's game.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. It's probably going to be a right battle till the end of the season, but as long as you can keep picking up points when you need to, you're giving yourself a chance of staying up.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But on to one of the teams who's directly above you. Bremen faltered themselves to another whimper of defeat again. Congrats to Jan Nicholas Bester, who finally has himself a Bundesliga goal and a very good finisher that had to get it. Someone who's been playing like one of their best, looking like one of their most dangerous attacking outlets at times in this season of Freiburg, finally gets himself off the mark. So congrats to him for that. Obviously Suzuki scored later on, but it was ruled out in the end. But still, other than that, it just looked like a very comfortable 1-0 win regardless for Freiburg. Another performance where Bremen, who we're playing next, coincidentally, another performance where they just looked lackluster once again in creating many clear chances in front of goal. It just didn't look good for them. And if you guys are going to start picking up wins, I worry for Bremen if they're going to be able to stay in the fight themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, look, they're not the same team they used to be, like when they were challenging for the Champions League or those years winning the league back in the early to mid 2000s. Like they have been relegated in the last 5-6 years, so that the way things are going for them here, it could happen again potentially.
Yeah.
But look, a good solid win for Freiburg, but another poor performance once again from Bremen. What about your thoughts on this one?
Look, Bester, with his first Bundesliga, he's a quality player. I've rated him for quite a long time. But certainly, I think you're right about Bremen. It's getting to the point now where, especially with the weekend's results, good and bad, there's going to be these other teams that are going to start getting dragged into this dogfight of a relegation scrap, and Bremen are absolutely going to be one of them if they don't start picking up points now. That's pretty clear, I think. And from a Freiburg point of view, they've got Europe aspirations, as we've talked about previously. And they just seem to find a way to get it done in games like this. Yeah, absolutely.
Outside of that top six, you can say they're the best of the rest at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
7th place, there is a 6-point gap between them and Leverkusen.
Yep.
So I do kind of get the best of the rest. But they're still right high up in that European talk at the moment. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next game, and a team who, in my opinion, who, as brave as they've been at times this season, as likeable as a team they are, just for the small size of the club and all of that, I think the writing's almost on the wall for them now. And this performance kind of once again summed it up. Like prior to Christmas, we were saying, could they survive? Could they stay up? I think it's quite clear now that they are going to be the first team to get relegated this season, unfortunately for them. But they gave it a good go. It's 3 consecutive seasons of Bundesliga, and the European finished the first. But I am referring to Hoffenheim.
Yeah.
But they went down 2-0 to Hamburg, and it's been like this for a few weeks for them now. They're just looking low on confidence. They're not looking like they can beat anyone right now.
Yep.
I mean, anything could still happen between now and the end of the season, but the gap between them and safety is now up to 6 points. And I know they did get back-to-back wins obviously before Christmas, so it could happen again, but it doesn't look like it's happening now for them. It's just looking like that kind of spark that they had through Christmas seems to have
that sugar hit. Yeah, definitely. I think that's I mean, you look at it from a any chance that they've got of even getting off the bottom. It's a 4-point gap now, and the goal difference is between the two sides is 13 now, so they've got a goal difference of minus 28. And thankfully, from our point of view, we're no longer the lowest scoring team in the comp now. So, which I think is great. But look, I think you're right, and we talked about that little sugar hit we had with those 2 wins in stoppage time that they had before Christmas, and that was really good for them. We thought, okay, maybe that might spur them on, as it has for Mainz now. But we just haven't seen that with Heidenheim now, and we talk about how important, especially at the bottom, that home form is, and good home form. To lose to I guess a rival in terms of that bracket of sides in the lower to mid table 2-0, and not really offer too much up. It's
I mean, Hamburg is 11th now, to be fair.
Yeah.
relegation rivals Heidenheim at this point.
No, but I sort of mean that sort of mid to lower table sort of bracket, I guess. I'm not saying Hamburg now will be dragged into that fight, but and especially with the closeness of the league with those sort of sides, there's not too many points between. What is it? 5 points now between second bottom and 11th. You know, maybe an extra point for 10th. So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but I guess Heidenheim would be. Yeah, I mean, they are struggling. There's no doubt about that now, and I think you're right. I think if unless there's some sort of extended fight, I think they're going to be the first to go down.
Unless they pull off some miracle run at some point late this season or back end of the season, I think it's looking a bit too. The performances as well as signalling, it looks like they're preparing for life back in this fight in Bundesliga almost at this point. Speaking on Hamburg's point of view, though, another great win for them, backing up that solid performance to get a draw against us the week before, of course. Starting to just stake their claim. They don't score an awful lot of goals. I mean, I know they scored 4 in their last 2, but that's still only 21 now in the league in total in the season. So it hasn't been easy. I mean, look, Königsdorf has scored from open play. That's a very rare sign. It was good, well taken finish as well. But I mean, just overall, it looks flat for Heidenheim and Hamburg. But Hamburg are just keeping themselves, ticking over enough to not be considered a relegation, in a relegation battle, I reckon. They've had a few moments where it's looked a bit sketchy for them of late, but I think they've still managed to pull themselves together. They've got another big game up home against Union Berlin next week, so if they can get another 3 points there, which if anyone's current form continues way, there's no reason Hamburg can't win that one as well. They're starting to push themselves towards the top half of the table at Hamburg. As you said, the gap's so close. So it really comes down to that. But I know,
and I think
you to praise your rivals, of course.
Oh no, I was just about to say I think now is a really good time for them to sort of prove their safety credentials and really keep, if they can sort of stay where they are and keep getting results, the end finish for them is going to be, I think, quite positive. Same with Köln, who are just above them. Same with those sort of teams around them. I think this is a really good opportunity for them to sort of state their claim, say, hey, we're not a sort of lower side, a bottom side. We want to be sort of mid to top of the bottom half of the top of the table, sort of thing. So they've definitely got that opportunity. Like you said, they've got Union, and they played really well against you guys. Obviously,
Fabio
yeah.
Vieira has been excellent. He had another fantastic game against Hoffenheim. The assist for Ryan Philippe was just brilliant. It was. And someone with the quality that he has has really helped him at times this season. Moving on to a team who were going the opposite direction of Hamburg, and a team who were really starting to give us a run for our money, and potentially open up a title race this season. Dortmund narrowly winning, and to be fair, Wolfsburg probably should have had a lot more from this game. But they are a team who was sliding, nevertheless. Dortmund did win it late on through another Guerassi goal 2-1, but Amuro, what's he doing? He misses 4 guilt-edged chances missed by Amuro in that game. It's not helpful when your leading man is going to be missing chances like that. And Wolfsburg, for all the chances they had, and the fact that probably they could have even beaten Dortmund, the wastefulness is shocking, and it's not something they will be putting up when they're starting to slide into a relegation battle like they are. And they've been sliding for a while. It wasn't working with Paul Simonis, who sacked him. It looked like they had a little bit of a bounce initially, but then since Christmas it's just been sliding. They've been sliding back down once again. It's not been a good season for them at all. For Dortmund's sake, before I pass it on to you, but I don't want to admit the fact that a ties race could actually become a game. But the way it looks like right now, Dortmund look like they're squeezing out wins week after week, and that's a sign that they're really fighting for this. And it makes me worried that every time we do drop points, that Dortmund are going to get closer and closer. And it really could come down to that game that we have against them in a few weeks' time. Which will also signal the not anniversary, I guess, but the cycle continue, the end of the first cycle for those of you who were watching since the start of the that was the first game we started on the Bundesliga, was the Classica, so we were coming up on that game. But yeah, I mean, look, fair credit to Dortmund. Once again, even though the performance wasn't particularly brilliant from them, holding on, getting themselves another late winner, sign of a team who were fighting for a league title, that's for sure. But from Wolfsburg's point of view, not good. Like a much more promising performance, but the wastefulness in front of goal, particularly from Amora, not a good sign. I mean, what were your thoughts on that game?
Look, just a couple of things I took out of this one. The goal from Brandt, the keeper there, probably needed to do more to keep that out. It was probably unlucky that it went in, but
when you say like when you're that close to flicking that head, there's not much that you can do. It's really difficult to have the wrist strength to be able to keep that out.
Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, the wastefulness from Amora, as you said, was probably what was most disappointing. Clearly, Rakus, I think that was his first goal. But Guirassy just doing what Guirassy does, and you talk about the potential title race that could open up. For Dortmund now starting to get more and more points every week.
In fact, season, the other teams that you think like Leverkusen, the last season was right up there. Leipzig always now. I know last season fell off, but normally you'd expect them to be up there. Even though I said Frankfurt silly at the beginning of the season, obviously they're nowhere near it. But but at least Leverkusen, Leipzig, the whole season they've just been very inconsistent. Those two. Dortmund, the only team other than us that have actually been consistent enough.
Pretty consistent.
And you've got Hoffenheim. We'll get on to them.
But I was just going to say, just in relation to Dortmund, scoring late, and just getting the job done late, never giving up, and being able to find that way through. The goal that set up Guirassy was sublime. That's that fantastic little 1-2 finish, and he's always going to be on the end of one of those. And it was similar to the Stuttgart goal, as I was saying before. Just quality players seem to find a way through. And he's another one of those. He's always sort of on the spot, and you can rely on him, whether it's in the 8th minute or the 87th minute. He knows where the back of the net is in a game like this. And Wolfsburg again, could they have gotten more out of this potentially? But that's for them to sort of shoe over. With each passing week, it's going to be more and more difficult for them to stake a case for not being dragged into that relegation fight. Show us that you want to be. Show us that you're up for the fight. And as for Dortmund, they're showing us that they're ready to take you guys on for the title.
Yeah, exactly. And going back to the bottom end of the table, a team who in recent weeks have basically put the foot down and say, no, we're not even going to be remotely close to this relegation battle coming over the season. Winning again against a team who themselves have been good for recently, of course. But a solid win. I know 2 penalties got them done. But Amiri's back in goal scoring form is good to see. I said earlier this season when they went out of form, it almost felt like Amiri was out of form. It almost seemed like the two players just coincided with each other. His form was there in good form. But look, another big win for Mainz against a team winning around them in the table as well. A bit of a knockback for Augsburg, but I still think they've been showing a fair bit in recent weeks. So this may just be a drive. And then just go on with what they're playing now. Still close to football. I mean, Heidenheim, you expect them to fully bounce back from that 100%. But I mean, Mainz have a massive game away from But on this game in particular, we're on a massive game for Mainz. Urs Fischer is just ticking them over, and they're winning, they're getting points, And I mean, look, I might even say at this point, I think they're safe. They just don't. I know obviously mathematically they're far from it, but I mean, look, 21 points. The gap's not that big, but it's the fact that they just keep looking like they're going to be right now,
strong.
When they come up against teams that are around them. Good. Another great win for Mainz. Keeps them climbing that table, and that's what they want to do, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and look, I would absolutely echo what you were saying about Augsburg. I saw them against us the week before, and they just looked a cut above, despite the fact that we scored the first goal. They were just really impressive, set piece goal, and just a really nice sort of opening play for their second and their winner. But you're right about Mainz as well. We talked about them sort of struggling before Christmas, but they've been probably the most impressive side, I think, out of that group of teams since then. They've found a way to not only win the games against the sides around them like this one that they should, at home, but also picking up points on the road against higher ranked teams. I think it was Leipzig, Dortmund as well. I know, sorry, not Dortmund yet, but Leipzig was, that's right, you guys, my apologies, so that's a sign of a team that, like you said, doesn't want to have any part of that relegation conversation. They want to be, sort of in the bottom half of the top 10, and I think that's eventually where they're going to finish. I just don't see them,
the way they're playing right now, I can see them getting towards the top half of the table.
I would agree. They're starting to win those games against their rivals around that they should be winning. But they can also take it up to, like you said, you guys and those other top teams as well. So sky's the limit, really.
No, but onto the next game. There wasn't much going on with this game. Leverkusen once again underwhelming, though, in my opinion. Hence why they're really in this battle for the Champions League, let alone the title, right? Let alone like top two, whatever. I think a fairly solid point for Gladbach, who at this point are starting to just consolidate themselves comfortably in and around the middle of the table. I'd say Eugen Polanski just kind of found their level at least for this season, and for Leverkusen's sake, another very uninspiring performance in all honesty. Gladbach, took the lead. Tabakovic didn't score a shot at goal, but it did lead to the opening goal, of course. Just well followed up it was in the end. And a real touch of fortune for Leverkusen's equaliser, really. The deflection was wild, wasn't it? That took it spiraling past the keeper into the top corner, basically sending the keeper the wrong way. Other than that, not much more to say about that game, and another very flat Leverkusen performance, I thought.
I think Gladbach would be probably the happier out of the two. They're looking for points to sort of like consolidate, as you said, where they are on the table, and especially given the fact that there's three sides on 22 points. Mine's on 21. You've got Köln on 23. So definitely between 10th and even mine's on 14 in 14th. Any of those teams could sort of leapfrog, so it's up to those sides to try and get as many points as they can. And Gladbach, as you said, certainly would have taken a point at the beginning of the day, no doubt. And Leverkusen, I don't know, I can't really get a read on them. I say that because we've got them on the weekend, and I desperately want us to take anything out of that game. So when I saw this result on the weekend, it did give me a bit of hope to say, hey, if we can bring our A game, we might get something out of it. Especially with the fact that Gladbach weren't doing so well, maybe 8 weeks ago, at least prior to the break. They were sort of struggling a bit and had that sugar hit, but unlike a team like Hoffenheim, they've been able to consolidate and start to pick up points after that. And Tabakovic has been good. He didn't score in this one, but he's been solid for them. And I think if they can continue this again, it's another one of those sides that can stake a claim for sort of, if not the bottom of the top half, then just under that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it really comes down to at the end of the day. But not much more to say on that game, really. Just another underwhelming Leverkusen performance, in all honesty. Moving on to the two Sunday games, we'll start with Köln versus Leipzig. Again, not much too really to read into this game. I think the team you'd expect to win won that game. It wasn't a performance from Köln that makes you think, oh my god, are they slipping? No, it's just another one of those things where they're not going to beat everyone. They're going to lose to the bigger teams, and that's exactly what happened. It wasn't anything special of a performance in Leipzig. I thought two well-taken goals, especially the second one from Baumgartner, so he's back on the score sheet for them after quite a while, I believe. Had a part to play in the Köln goal as well, of course. Giving away that. Oh wait, sorry, no, wasn't a penalty. He almost gave away a penalty, at the back end of the game, but it was ruled out, and I thought correctly so as well. That would have been a bit harsh if that was given against him. But look, Leipzig just too strong really on the day for Köln, but far from alarm bells for Köln. They've shown time and time again this season, as I've alluded to time and time again this season, that they're enough to stay on, showing that they do. Battle of the wingers really. We've young, exciting wingers. Jan Diamande versus Said El-Marwa.
Yeah, and Almara missed a really early chance that could have put them up early as well. So, and I've seen Diamande quite recently, and he's certainly, we've said all season, he's been one to watch. And you're absolutely right. And I think it's probably Leipzig needing to get back on the horse after a couple of probably not ideal results in recent weeks. So sort of just
keep them firmly in that Champions League.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Back up to fourth after that win and
Yeah.
Stuttgart defeat. So
Yeah. Yeah.
they're still very much in the question there. As
Y-
well, I mean, look, for a long time they're looking like they're going to consolidate themselves to the table.
Yeah, in that cluster that we just talked about before as well. So it's again about consolidation and sort of just picking up points, and especially against the teams around them, and of which there's a few.
I mean, look, they've got Stuttgart next week away, and if Stuttgart are going to continue the performance that they've got in Q-Mode, they could bounce back there. So who knows? Right?
I'd give them a chance in that game, absolutely, on what I saw, yeah.
And to wrap up the week, so we had a very tame week in terms of goal scoring, which is unusual for the Bundesliga at times this season. A couple of 1-1s, a few 2-1s, a 1-0, a couple of 2-0s. So when Bayern came into Hoffenheim's game, with Hoffenheim firing on all cylinders recently and us stumbling a bit of late, who'd have thought that it would finish Bayern 5, Hoffenheim 1? I mean, look, weirdly enough, I kind of thought it would do something along the lines in one part of me, because we seem to do that. We did it to Leipzig twice this season, 6-0 and 5-1. We blew Stuttgart out of the water when they were in form coming into a game against us. We cruised to a 3-0 win against Leverkusen. Yet at the same time, we lose at home to Augsburg and struggle to a 2-2 draw away at Hamburg and draw 2-2 to an out-of-form Mainz at Allianz earlier this season. So it happens with Bayern just as much as this does. Look, I will say the red card basically decided this game ultimately, and it was a very much a deserved red card for Hoffenheim. Akpoguma, or what his name is, very last
Akpoguma,
Akpoguma.
Kevin Akpoguma, yeah.
Yeah, last man challenge, you can't really deny it, and from that point on, look, I was a little frustrated again in the first half. I thought we were overplaying again like we had in recent weeks and wasted chances as a result, but what I saw in the second half was what I saw earlier this season as opposed to the last few weeks, with a much more energetic front-footed performance. Yes, the red card meant it easier, I get that, but I kind of felt it was coming. Like, even the way the game began, we looked more on it and stuff. So, like, hopefully we've dusted off the cobwebs of those lackluster results of late, and this win is going to springboard us back into the form we were in earlier this season, and we're not going to get dragged into an actual title race, and we're going to win this thing comfortably again, hopefully. Like, we've got two big opportunities to really get some form back in. Bremen next week, Frankfurt the week after. I know they're under new management now and they are conceding. Well, there's a one-game sample, of course, but look, a very pleasing result. Look, it's difficult on Hoffenheim because they've been doing so well up until now, and hopefully this defeat doesn't damage them too much. I still like them as a team, but yes, I'm very glad we absolutely brushed them aside in the end. And look, full credit, Luis Diaz, hat-trick hero, take a bow. He's been excellent this season, and that's just another really good performance from him in this game, and just from Bayern all round, a much more promising performance, and a performance I expect to see from us, especially at home.
Yeah, I think from a Hoffenheim point of view, look, I agree when you say I hope it doesn't discourage them, but I still think that even if they finish 6th or 5th, that's not a disgrace to them this year at all. They've done fantastically well, but obviously the cream now is starting to rise to the top, and if it means that they get a few bumps and bruises along the way in terms of results like this, then so be it. I think they're still going to be well and truly in that. They're 12 points clear of Freiburg in 7th. Yeah. So that just says it all. They're 3 games clear. I think
no doubt in my mind they're going to get into Europe next season.
Oh, for sure.
When they get the Champions League is what it really should be about for them.
Yeah, and that's what I was just saying. Even if they don't, and that's still a possibility, because we don't know what's going to happen yet. I think that's still going to be a great result for them. But Champions League for them is still possible if they can shrug this result off, and I think they can. Look, I think they've shown. Especially since we started this podcast, they are our, one of our favourite teams to talk about. and I think that they've shown a lot this season in terms of being able to build that resilience and shake off those defeats. We talked about that run of games they had without defeat and how good it was, and I think they lost a game and then they sort of bounced back reasonably quickly. Hopefully this is the case again for them, because they're too good a side to sort of stumble, I think, and sort of fall when you've got these other sides that are chasing them, like your Leipzigs and Stuttgarts and Leverkusen as well. But from a Bayern point of view, just Bayern doing what Bayern have done to a lot of other teams this year, came with a double and Diaz with a hat-trick. Is it going to spark them into improved form? In that hopefully for your sake, to really stamp their title credentials in a couple of months' time.
Yeah, exactly. So that will wrap up our Bundesliga portion of this week's review. We'll swiftly move on to the A-League, and before we do, if you've made it this far through the video, don't forget to give us a good old like and subscribe, share, and all that good old YouTube channel building stuff.
All that goodness, yeah.
Yeah. And stay tuned, of course, for a couple more live streams in the Cricket World Cup. We're talking about football today. On to the A-League again, and look, I'm going to preface this by saying it's much the same as it really always has been most of this season. Don't expect us to delve into glorying and gripping detail about all of these games, that's for sure. We'll start with the Friday games, of which there were two of them. Wellington losing 3-2 to Melbourne Victory, the first one of them all. Look, I thought Victory, just annoying as it is to say, just looked way better than Wellington really in that game, and 3-2 does flatter Wellington a little bit in that game. It's one of those things. It's so hard to comment. It's like, oh yeah, Victory look good. Does that mean I think they're going to win the league? Even if I'm removing all bias. Not at all. Removing all bias aside, even then I don't think that's the case. In all honesty, look, they've been good at times this season. They absolutely blew us away, but because the league's so weird, they're still 2 points behind us anyway. They're still 7 points off Newcastle, and they're still only a point from dropping outside of the top 6. So it's the A-League's craziness. I mean, if you look at their form, three defeats, 2 wins in their last 5 games. Not a great result for Wellington, of course, who are definitely struggling right now. They're only 3 points off the foot of the table, but many teams have been down at the foot of the table and shot up the league this season. So it's really a hard one to call, isn't it? I mean, what were your thoughts on the game?
Look, first of all, I think that the result, and from a Wellington point of view, definitely flatters them. Especially Roger Miranda scored an own goal towards the end of the game, and they were 3-1 down at that point, and the game was, was 2-1 at half time, and the game was pretty much almost over by then. Less than 6,000 there turned up. I don't know if that's a regular crowd for them, but maybe just the stadium being so big, makes it look bigger than it is. But I think from a Victory point of view, and I hate to say this, I think they were always sort of primed to win this one. There is a derby coming up week after next as well. So hopefully from my point of view, they get all these good results out now before that result, because it's a city home derby, and my thoughts on this. The last thing I want is to rock up there in a couple of weeks and do our content and the shorts and stuff, only to lose to that mob. So so I think they got the result. Good for them. I think it probably says more about Wellington than it does about those other guys. I can't pronounce their name or even say their name. So Wellington have had some good form, but this is probably one that they want to just sort of move on from, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of moving on, we'll move on from that game to the MacArthur 2-2 draw against Perth Glory. And look, it looked like MacArthur were home and hosed for 3 points until Kolakowski popped up in the 91st minute to snatch.
What a finish!
Great finish as well. Some suspect defending, I will say, but it's still a great finish. Look, Callum Talbot got a goal from MacArthur, the first time he's managed a goal in the A-League, and it's not like he's a new person to it. He's played for us for a few seasons, had to spell over at you guys, and he's alright. He's not known for scoring goals, but it took a bit of time, didn't it, for him to get one. Nick Pennington as well, scoring again for Perth.
Mitch Duke again,
Mitch Duke again for MacArthur, so almost like, I don't know if you can say a fair result in the end. I do think Perth are the better of the two sides. Maybe even though MacArthur probably should have won that game.
Yeah.
But it's another one of those games where it's hard to kind of call much on it because, you know, both sides are kind of just, you know, MacArthur are back in fourth. They've been like this all season. They've looked good one week, looked terrible the next. Perth are now down to ninth again after their good run of form had them up in towards the top four.
Yeah.
But then again, even then, like they, you know, the previous week, obviously they got a really good win themselves. So it's just really like, you know, the A-League is just this sort of league this season, really, isn't it? And it's making it very hard to call for most of the time.
It is. I mean, you look at, MacArthur in fourth, and it shows how much attention I've paid to the table recently. But yeah, I think probably Perth snatching that late form is probably well deserved. I think since Griffiths has come in and he's been really good for them. They couldn't win games at home before he got the job full time, and they've won a few. You know, I think they've having Kucharski back, I think has been really good for them. And you know, MacArthur's certainly surprised me. I didn't expect them to be where they are on the table, but yeah, just one of those games where I think, you know, probably Perth deserved a point. MacArthur probably unlucky not to get all three of them, really.
Yeah, exactly. And on to the Saturday games then. Sydney once again failing in a game after looking so promising the week before. It's becoming a bit of an annoying recurring theme, but in all honesty, I don't think we played bad. I'm not too annoyed at this one. Going to Auckland's always going to be difficult, even though they've been pretty bad at holding on to leads this season. It was going to be against us where they finally managed it, wasn't it? But look, I thought we showed more than enough to get something from the game. It's just we've not got the quality that we have over the last few seasons up front anymore, and it's proving in a lot of games that, you know, we should be walking away more from, but if we had more quality, we probably would be. Look, it was good for Auckland's sake for the fact that they finally scored a goal and managed to hold on for one of their traditional narrow wins. One thing I do want to point out from the game, though, is the commentary. Like, one of the biggest issues I have with this league is their propensity to basically try and make a derby out of fucking anything. Now, I don't know how much in tune with Sydney FC fans the commentators are in this league. Specifically talking about Jason Pine and Jacob Spoonley here, since they were the ones commentating the game, with it being in Auckland. But basically spending most of the game talking about the fact that it's become a derby over the last two seasons since Auckland come in, because of the fact that they have a couple of our, you know, one of note in Jacob Riker, our former players, and obviously our former manager and club legend Stevie Corica as their manager, basically trying to make it this makeshift derby now, calling it the new blue or whatever the fuck they want to call it. I want to just stop that right now. And look, other Sydney FC fans who watch this, please jump in the comments and hopefully back me up. But if you want, prove me wrong if you have a different opinion on it. But me as a Sydney FC fan, I'm not under the impression at all that I hate Auckland. And the reasons they say, oh, they've got their former manager, Stevie Corica. That's the reason I want them to win if it's not us winning. I'm talking about the league here, obviously. I have no ill feelings towards Stevie Corica. He's a fucking Sydney FC legend through and through, and nothing's going to really change that. Unless he goes to manage Wanderers, obviously, or Victory. But obviously this dude's not going to do that. So, like, I don't know, this like nonsense they're saying, like, oh, you know, it's a right. No, it's not. It is in no way, shape or form a rivalry or a derby of any kind. As far as I'm aware, no Sydney FC fans would call it a derby, and no Auckland fans would either. So look, they've got to stop trying to make a derby of every game in this league. It's just getting utterly ridiculous. Yeah. Like, I'm surprised they haven't made Melbourne City West and Sydney Wanderers a derby, calling it the other teams in the city's derby or some shit. I was
literally just thinking, I'm thinking, what could a good name for that be? Yeah. And I don't even know the
non-original city teams derby or something. The Victory initially, and then
the new guys derby. I don't know, but
the spare parts derby.
Parts derby, yeah. But I mean, in terms of this one, I guess I didn't see the game, but
not much an awful lot happened in the game. I mean, maybe we should have defended the goal a little bit better. And as for our chance of going forward, look, I didn't see anything wrong with the performance. Thiago Quintal looked impressive again on the ball in that number 10 role. Joe Lolly getting another run out, another improved lineup. Hopefully he can start getting back in the starting lineup soon enough. Campuzano looked busy again, but doesn't always have that finishing product. It was another decent performance from us all round, and I think maybe you could argue we definitely deserved more from the game. But I mean, look, Auckland are good at home, and they're not always going to keep chucking away the lead in games like they have so many times prior to our meeting this season. And we play them again soon enough, anyway. So yeah, who knows? On to the next game then. After that, Brisbane. They're in a terrible run of form, and it continued, didn't it? Losing to Mariners. Despite taking the lead, D'Agostino back at the club, obviously, giving them the lead. But then Mariners cancelling it out, and that's now 4 defeats in their last 5 games now for Brisbane.
Yeah.
And the team who were once looking like they were going to go top of the table and potentially challenge for the title are now down into 8th position, and maybe our prediction of 11th place ain't going to be too far off now. Yeah,
well, I was going to say, we talked about this game, the last edition, and how spicy it was, and I think I might have said to you, maybe even here or off air, wait for the next one, because it's going to be a beauty to watch, and it actually was. Michael Valkanis was in fine form. There was some words and whatnot had after the game and his press conference. If you guys haven't seen it, take a look. He was in fine form. It was I mean, the off-field drama was probably more exciting than what happened on-field. But the Mariners getting it done 2-1, and like you said, Chester, about Brisbane, we saw them a while ago and they look like they might be finals bound possibly, but they've fallen well back into the pack, even more so. And they just don't I don't think they have any way of getting out of it, really. I don't see how they can, what they can do to sort of get back into that conversation of finals.
Look, if they are going to, they can just hold off for a couple more weeks until after the 21st effect. That would be nice. But yeah, look, good win for Mariners, another poor result for Brisbane, and they continue to slip further down the table. Speaking of a team who are struggling, two teams who are struggling right now, it was and it was a game that felt like that. Wanderers won, Melbourne City won. What are your thoughts on your team struggling to win games right now?
Well, we do have Asian football back in the Bundesliga.
All the way to the other side of the world.
We've got Asian football coming up in South Korea tomorrow night. And we've got an old new face, Harrison Delbridge, is back for City, so it'd be good to see him play. But I did see some of this. I was busy with our World Cup coverage on Saturday, but as is Beige with an absolute cracker of a goal, but Kraev equalising for Wanderers, and this is how good my psychic ability is, folks. When they had that set piece lined up, that free kick, I thought, here we go, they'll probably score here. And what do you think happens? They score. So, any sort of organisations that promote that sort of thing, sign me up. But yeah, look, I think a pretty fair result. City have sort of fallen off the mark in terms of finals, and tying that in with the obvious.
Well in the conversation.
We are,
You're only a point outside it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but if that other mob in Melbourne want to sort of start sliding down, and I think the derby next weekend's going to be an absolute cracker based on that. But sorry, when I say next weekend, I don't mean this one coming up. It's the one after the 21st.
This weekend coming up, which is weird.
I didn't know that, but there you go. So that'll be good for my stress levels too. So, but I think that Asian football conversation is certainly. We've talked about it before. They're finding it difficult just to sort of juggle both.
I get that, but obviously the last few weeks you haven't had any Champions League football, so you've drawn to Wanderers, you drew to Wellington before that. You're struggling to win games right now, and I think before that, obviously you got hammered by MacArthur. So that's I wasn't going back and checking in there. So since you turned over Auckland at home on the 16th of January, you haven't won the league. You've had 2 defeats, so 1 defeat and then 2 draws things.
And ironically,
goal scoring for me is what's concerning.
Yeah.
You've scored 19 in 17 games.
Yeah.
Defensively you've been decent as well. I mean, still 20 points conceded, but that was aided mainly by that one game against MacArthur, of course. But
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
win in your last 5, really.
Yeah.
It's not looking, it's not great right
No.
now.
No. And ironically, I wasn't at that last game, that home win against Auckland, so maybe that has some sort of aura about it. I don't know, but yeah, look, I'm sort of just using that 1 week at a time mantra because I'm not reading into anything past like the next game. But I think with the weekend off, if they can't get ready for the derby next week, a home derby, then they should just pack it up and focus on next season. I think I'm serious because I don't know how genuine they are if they do make finals and what that's going to look like. Yeah, are they just making up the numbers from there? I don't know. I really hope not, because as defending champions, you want to show a bit more than what we are at the moment. And especially with the team we're going to talk about next, who have rocketed into not only finals but further conversation once they get there.
Yeah.
And it seems like they will get there. And I'm happy to move on to that game. Actually, I'm done talking. Yeah.
I was just going to say one more point. Like you signed a few players. Delridge coming back, huge. Arzani coming back.
Yeah. Marcus Eunice
signing, and obviously Lapane's back from injury now. So I don't know again how important that could be with him coming back as well, because he was decent for you last season, I guess. So yeah, I mean, look, but right now it's not looking good. But that could all change by the time you play Victory in a few weeks. So I was right. Even though you aren't playing, which we never know, but other results maybe I don't know. But yeah, on to the final game of this review of this round. Newcastle are the only team that are giving us some semblance of sanity because how ridiculous it is seeing teams go up the top of the table this season, near the top, and any chance they get to break away or to keep pulling clear or anything like that, they just shit the bed. Thank you, Newcastle, for being the only team in the league this season that know how to put a consistent run of good results together, because seriously no one else does. They've won again, a Clayton Taylor hat-trick this time. I mean, he's been some player for them this season. I mean, he really has become this team are just exciting in general. If it's not Clayton Taylor, it's Eli Adams. If it's not him, it's Lockie Rose. It's Lockie Bayless. The amount of young talent they have. I mean, Burton Cello as well, you can chuck in the mix as well, right?
Yeah.
But just knocking around there, it's just mental. And look, even though Adelaide did give them a good old push in this game, Newcastle once again coming out on top. Once again, courtesy of some shocking A-League defending. For that third goal, just the overhit back pass. Bart Freeze was just scrambling for it. He was never getting to that ball. And Clayton Taylor rushes through in a good composed finish to make it, to get his hat-trick in the game. And ultimately Newcastle do win the game 3-2. Yeah, I mean, look, they are very impressive, and they like the team to beat now.
I think so.
After having a start which was very wobbly, they've won 5 on the bounce. Like, they've won their last 5 games at least. I had to double check to see go back before that, but they've at least won their last 5 games. So, like, incredible form right now for Newcastle.
Oh, for sure. And we talked about how good they were when they won the Australia Cup and that sort of early season form, and then they dipped, and we sort of weren't sure what was going to happen with them. But I think this, and pardon the pun, was tailor made for a Jets away win. But showing us that yes, they've got great form at home and great support at home, but they can back it up on the road as well. And I think that for their push, whether it's top 2, top 4, we don't know yet. I think games like this are going to be super important to be in that conversation, wherever it might be at the end of the season, which is not too far away, really.
I mean, I've got the answer for you. They've won every league game they've played in 2026. Newcastle. So
shit, wow.
For you. And the goals as well. I mean, they've scored what is it, 11 goals in their last 3 games as well. It's mental. Like,
that's fucking impressive.
Pulling clear on all fronts, and long may it continue if it ain't going to be us. Because they're now 2 points clear of Auckland. We're in third, 5 points behind them. Long may it continue for Newcastle's sake.
Absolutely.
We're going to catch them. So, even though I wouldn't mind if Auckland win the league for a second season running, look, if Newcastle are actually going to win games consistently, it feels like they deserve to win the league. So hopefully. And look, as for Adelaide's sake, I mean, it was a narrow defeat, but they're still in 6th, and they've kind of just been hovering in and around that kind of middle of the table, kind of just inside or just outside of the finals spots most of this season. We have them next, and hopefully we can get back to winning ways in that game. But yeah, look, that sums up another week of football really in both those leagues. A-League's a bit truncated next week. It's kind of weird. There's 2 Friday games, 2 Saturday games, and nothing else. So it will be a slightly shorter review because of the fact that there's 2 fewer A-League games to talk about. But I hope you guys at home have enjoyed another thrilling review show from us. I think that's pretty much it really. We're back with a live stream tomorrow, of course. Afghanistan versus South Africa in the T20 World Cup should be a good one, that one. Great game yesterday for those of you who watched, which wasn't me, but hopefully we can get a few more people watching this one, and especially the double-header the week after as well on Tuesday. But yeah, no tea break, of course, as we've said multiple times already. This week, then we'll be one again next week, so we'll see you guys for the live stream tomorrow if you're going to jump on and check out with us. But yeah, that'll do it from us this week. Anything else to add, Ben?
No, just looking forward to another live stream tomorrow. Yesterday was great, and I saw a couple of the games last night. Some great action there, which we'll cover more of tomorrow, of course. But yeah, great weekend in the Bundesliga. A-League, not so good. Hard to get a read on really, but yeah. Look, thanks for sticking with us, guys. Yeah, give us a like and on a follow on the old gram, and we love seeing your comments and whatnot, and your interaction with us. We really enjoy it, and we're really pleased and proud to do what we do and bring this content to you guys. So thanks.
Thanks a lot, guys. Peace out. Take care, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Take care, guys.